I don't know. I'm putting this inside of a cabinet, so I don't know how well this is gonna be. I don't know. Can you see the shirt? Hold on a second. Yo, check it out. Yeah, I got the D3 glow in the dark shirts. RD, D3, and also if you want, I can also put your tag on it or a word of your choosing anywhere you want on the space in the shirt. It's going to be done not with the style of paint that RD uses. RD uses a certain kind of paint that's glow in the dark, and I use another. I use mine is it's golden acrylic. It's really expensive. It's like, I don't know, $100 for like a 16-ounce jar, something like that. Pretty expensive, man. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get this shit up here. Hold on. Ah, damn it. And then, so just let me know, and I can make you a shirt. Or if you want, you can just have it like that, or you can have one with just an RD on it, or just a D3. You let me know. Or I'll think about putting 357 on some of them too. So, you know, you let me know. So this is Uncle D's story hour. You know, I don't know what kind of story I wanted to do, but I just kind of flicked on the camera and said, "Yo, let's roll with it." Let me think back. Let me give you one night going out. I think I was about maybe 17, 18, 19, maybe 18 at the time. And 18, it was either 18 or 19, I can't remember. But it was around 1990, somewhere around there. 1989, 1990, somewhere around there. So back then, 357 had beef with just about the whole city. And we were kind of like all for one, one for all. You had beef with one of our members, we all had beef with you. So like, there was no you back and forth beef with writer to writer. That was it, guilty by association. And that's how we did it, you know? And I'm cooking right here too, so I'm cooking some food. And that's how we did it back in the days, you know? Hold on a second. And I'm telling you, we had beef with like half the city, you know? And so we're out, we go out clubbing, right? Back then, there was clubs like Emerald City, Studio 54 was still around, the Garage, Mars, Limelight, a bunch of you get the idea. That's the club scene back then that we used to go to. And there was also this club called MK's. It was owned by Mickey Rourke. I don't know. You think these are good? Hold on a second. Yeah, they're done, right? Yeah. I just want to make sure I don't get no worms from the pork, you know? Anyway, so we go to this club. Nice club, man. I used to love it. It's like an old bank. I think it turned into like an antiques gallery now. And they have like antiques and shit that they sell out of there. But it's an old bank. And it was 4 stories. They had the vault downstairs, which they played reggae music, dance hall. They played dance hall. They played a lot of dance hall down in the basement, and it was cool because you could go down. There's 2 different ways you could get into the vault, and you'd walk through either door, and you could walk through the bottom of the bank, and you're in the vault dancing to dance hall music. That was cool. Then there was the main floor, and then there was a mezzanine that went around. Like you went up to the 2nd level, and you could walk around like it was like a walkway that walked around. You could look down into the main dance floor, right? And that was like a mashup of like hip hop and R&B and rock and roll and all kinds of stuff like that, right? Then, if all the way towards the front, there was another set of stairs that you went up to the top level, and it was called the bug out room. And they called it the bug out room because they had all these different, like on the ceiling, they had pictures of all these different, like the rhinoceros beetle and all those big bugs. They had pictures of them all around near the walls, on the ceiling. And then they had big, like petrified bugs in glass, plexiglass and shit, you know? Shit was cool. It was cool. They had, when you first walked in, there was 2 big stuffed Doberman pinchers on the pillars that were left there in the bank. That was pretty cool too. Anyway, this is the club that we used to go to, right? At the time. And I was with Sire, Rend, Fusion, and our boy Gerson, who didn't even write graffiti, but he was down and he would represent 357. Just to give you an idea who I was with, Sire and Rend were brothers, my boys. They're Puerto Rican, and Sire was like a Puerto Rican George Jefferson. He'd pull out razors and he's ready to go, and he'd get mad about shit and start arguing with people, and that's how he was. Rend was his brother. He was just there to back up whatever. Didn't really cause no problems, but he was with it, you know. So, and Fusion, big husky, like Irish white dude. He's dead now. Rest in peace, Fusion 357. You know, he died a few years back. And Gerson, let me tell you, he was a. I'm pretty sure he continued on, but he was a brown belt in karate at the time. Like, he was actively going and practicing karate, you know, and he knew how to kick ass, you know. So we leave this club after a night of dancing, right? Hold on a second. After a night of dancing, right? And we walked down the club MK's was on 25th. You know where 5th Avenue and Broadway go like this? Yeah, well, right there, that's right where the club MK's is. Well, it used to be. The building's still there. You can still, Sane and Smith actually did blockbusters on the side of that building, on it, you know, back in the days. And we left there, and we walked over, we crossed the street, we went, there's the Madison Avenue Park right there where Shake Shack was actually created, you know, later on in life. You know, they weren't there back then, but Shake Shack it originated from that park, from a little shack, you know. There used to be lines like around the whole park at lunchtime there, and they ended up becoming a worldwide business from that. But anyway, we walked around that park, we got to 23rd Street, we crossed, and there was another bar space that was near like 23rd and Madison, where Madison Avenue starts on 23rd Street, but not, it was right across the street from where it started, that space, and it was called the X Bar. You know, and we were like, oh shit, look, this place is still open. We you know, we all just came from dancing, having fun and shit, whatever. So we went into this X Bar. I'm the first person in. We walk in, and we're in a line, one after another. I can't remember who was. Sire was right behind me. I don't know who was behind him or whatever. All I know is when I made it to the back of the bar where there was like a pool table, and like the room got kind of lit up so that you could play pool, I looked up on the wall and there was silver marker tags all over with all these people that we had beef with. And I was like, damn, that shit's fresh. These people are probably standing right here, right now, you know? And it was like Vanel, 3M, with a bunch of his friends, BYI crew, Chad BYI was there. I don't know who else from BYI was there, but BYI crew was there. There was also JAXTC tags. He must have left because he didn't show his face there. I would have liked to have fought him back then. But then who else was over there? There was just a TPT was there. There was just a bunch of crews that were on that wall. And we're like, all right, we got beef here. So I get to the back of the room, I turn around, and I put my back against the wall of where the pool table is, and beyond me is like a bathroom. There's nowhere else to go in there. So I wait for, I'm looking, and yo, Sire's like this tall, you know? He's like George Jefferson. He's a little tiny dude, but he had a lot. He has a lot of heart. And he's walking. He's got an 8-ball jacket on. 8-ball jackets used to be. He had an 8-ball jacket from Dapper Dan. You know, remember Dapper? You don't even know who Dapper Dan is. He was a clothing maker up on 125th Street. All the celebrities used to go to and get their shit fucking made from him. But anyway, he had an 8-ball jacket on, and he's like this. And he's walking. He's going. Like walking and looking up and down, looking at people and sucking his teeth with his, doing that shit. I'm like, yo, this dude is nuts. I'm like, yo, why is he fucking looking at everybody like that? Because I'm like thinking to myself, damn. I was like, yo, I pulled him over to the side. I said, yo, look up on that wall and tell me what you see. And I turned him around. Then came Ren. Ren came and I was like, yo, Danny. Ren's name was Danny. I said, Danny, look at that wall. Everybody on that wall we got beef with. This whole bar we have beef with. We have to leave. We cannot. We're gonna have a problem here. So we waited for all of us to get to the back of the bar. We let everybody know what we were leaving. I was the first one out of the bar. I walked in front of everybody. Everybody had stopped doing what they were doing by that point. The whole bar was just paying attention to us. So, go at the bar. I'm the first person out. And when you go out of the bar, the window to the bar was this way. The entrance was here, and then this way was another building, like a walk-up building. So I went out, and I went like this way. I stepped this way. Like, I walked out, and instead of going this way, I went this way. And when I stepped that way, I went into the doorway of the next building that was right next door. It was like a thing that separated the door from the bar to the building like this. It's only like that. So I stepped this way and I went back into that little doorway, and I stepped there and I looked and I watched. And out comes Sire, out comes Rend, out comes Fusion, and out comes Gerson. Right after Gerson walks out, the whole bar fucking poured out, like 25, 30 heads. It looked like a DOS Effects video. If you don't know who DOS Effects is, look up one of their videos and see what you see. It looked like that. Like a bunch of dudes with like army fatigues and dreads and fucking gas masks and shit like that. Yo, they had all the shit from like a DOS Effects video. Like, that was all like 3M crew and shit, man. You know, so they all went, and they went the opposite way of me, right? And they walked past the bar, and then they got into a line. Except it was Sire, Rend, and Gerson, and Fusion was tripping on acid. He was on like 3 or 4 hits of acid, and he freaked out, and he stepped into the doorway that was the next building down, and stood there, and was freaking out. But you know, God rest his soul. He did have a heart when he wasn't fucked up like that. So I'm not trying to talk bad about the man. Now, they're in a line, like 25 fucking 30 heads in a half circle in front of them, and they're like, yo, y'all got beef, this and that, blah blah blah. And then they went to rush them. That half circle just went to rush them, and they started rushing. And Danny, and it was Danny and Dave. Danny and Dave was Sire and Rend. Dave was Sire, Danny was Rend. So Danny and Dave got rushed. They got hemmed up like by a few different people. Gerson got rushed by 3 people, and he fended them off. Bang, boom, bang, boom. Kicked them. Yo, he kicked one dude. He dropped one dude with a punch. Kicked another guy. And as I'm watching that, I'm running up behind them. I stepped out of the doorway, because I was like, yo, that's my chance. This is my chance. And I jumped up, and I jumped out of the doorway, and I started running to the back of them. And I just started boom, 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 boom. Like, I just kept running to whoever I could find that wasn't one of us, and I would punch them in the back of the head. Boom, as hard as I could. Boom. And yo, I punched about 9 to 10 dudes. And they, like, when I punched them, a couple of them fell, a couple of them stumbled away. A couple of them, stopped and turned around and held their head. It was bugged out. So right as I'm running towards them, I see Gerson kicking and punching dudes, dropping motherfuckers. I fucking hit a whole bunch of people, and we fought off their rush. Between me, Gerson, Sire, and Ren. And we wound up in that. Now I'm in that line. Now I'm in that line that they were in, and that we got that half a circle. Like this, like a 25, 30 dudes, like this, and we're like this, right? So I'm like, all right. So we're like this, and they don't even know what just happened, because I punched like 8 or 9 of them, and we took care of it. We fought off their rush, and they were like standing in this half a circle, like, what the fuck just happened? They didn't understand, because I attacked from behind. We had them in a pincher move, so we did it right, and so we're all sitting there and nobody's saying nothing. So I said, damn, I got to think about something. I got to say something, because they're just gonna rush us again. So I stepped out of the line. I said, what's up? I write DE3-357. Who got beef with me? I'll fight you one-on-one right now. And Chad BYI said, yo, I got beef with you. I'm Chad BYI. Alright, come on, let's go. I took my jacket off. I had a reversible Nautica jacket. It was like a deck jacket for like when it gets chilly at night on the boat. Like you turn it inside out. One was solid color, one side was solid color, the other side was all like the Nautica print. And I threw that on the floor. I said, come on, let's go. So we started fighting, boom, 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 throwing punches at each other. We just like grazing each other, just hitting each other like lightly, not really. Bam! He lands. He starts throwing these overhand rights, and he hits me with one. He gave me a fucking eye jam. Oh shit! I heard them all go oh like that, and I was like, I shook it off. I said, all right, fuck that, let's go. And I was like, all right, now I know. So I baited him again. He threw another overhand. I said, oh, so that's what he's doing? So I just kept throwing like jabs at him, waited for that overhand right again. Like I stuck my head forward, and he did that again, and then I landed a right, bang, and I punched him in his eye, and I gave him an eye jam. Right? So we both have eye jammies at this point, right? So we're fighting. We get tussled up together. Hang on a second. We get tussled up together a little bit, and we start rolling around, and we on a gate. Like, remember when I told you I walked out and I stepped this way into a doorway? Well, right beyond that doorway was a gate, like a long gate to a store. And we're rolling around on that gate. So I get him, and he was smaller than me. So I threw him into the gate. He bounced off the gate and moved in front of me. And so I stepped back, and now my back's to the gate. And he came again with one of those overhand rights. And my back was against the gate. So I just went like this, like I just moved like this. And he punched the gate, bang. Like you heard the shit go, like And as soon as he did that, like I pushed him away, and I was like, come on, let's go. And then he realized that something was wrong with his wrist. And he backed up into his boys, and still was like this. And he was in the middle of all his boys. I was like, so what's up? He's like, yeah, so what's up? And I'm like, standing there by myself, and he's in between all of his friends. I'm like, so what's up? He's like, oh, so what's up? And I looked at the situation, I was like, all right, no problem. I said, you know what? I walked over to him, I said, yo, you got it. And I put up my hand like this. And I slapped the hand that wasn't hurt. He ended up breaking his wrist from punching the gate. Like he punched the gate with all his might. And I slapped his hand, walked through the crowd of those of his friends, picked up my jacket off the floor, and said, all right, come on, let's go. It was dead. And I walked away, and I turned around, and I said to everybody, yo, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. And we started walking down towards Park Avenue on 23rd Street on the downtown side. And we got like, you know, a half a block away from them. I said, yo, listen, as soon as we turn that corner, don't run yet. As soon as we turn that corner, we got to run and cross the street and hop the train and get into the train station. I felt like it was like the Warriors and shit, you know? That's what we did. We walked down, and they were still like standing there like, yo, what the fuck just happened? By the time we got to the corner and we started turning the corner, we seen them start running down the fucking block, all of them. And like, we ran to the fucking train and ran down the train station and got on the train. And I guess they didn't figure out where we went. So we got uptown, and there was this pool hall we used to go to and hang out in called Mammoth Billiards. And I'm sitting there looking at it. I got a big fat eye jamming. So there's the story of me getting into a fight with Chad BYI and fighting for my name and fighting for the 357 crew. You know, that's what happened. That's the official story. I wouldn't have nobody say anything different. I got hurt. He got hurt. He just happened to do something that was, you know, where he fucked his shit up, man, and he couldn't fight no more. So I just decided to end the fight, you know, and that was that. So there's a graffiti story for you. You know, we didn't take no shit. We didn't run. We still don't run. If we got beef with somebody, we just handle it, and whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? So that's that. I hope you like my story. I gotta get to cooking my meal. Oh yeah, here, look, let me show you what I'm doing. Ha, yeah, even though it's like fucking 6 o'clock in the evening, I'm eating eggs and sausage. 1